Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Case Fitness. It's Friday and you know what that means. It's time for functional home fitness where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house, and you can tell that my laundry schedule is off because I'm wearing a different shirt. This is usually just something I throw on for like hiking, but today it's weight training shirt. Woohoo! Hi everybody. Hi. I hope that you've made it safely to the end of the week. And I hope, but I apologize. I am feeling very tired and sort of overwhelmed today, emotionally, which is, an exhausting way to go through the day. So I will be probably a little lower energy than usual. Hydration. It's so good. Yep. Anyway, I will probably be a little lower energy than usual, but thankfully today's functional home fitness, which means that it's our overall a little bit chiller class, which is always really nice to be able to step back and go, okay, all right, let's work on something very specific, very focused, and we don't have to do that much engagement of our cardiovascular system, which this is the only class I teach that isn't really cardio heavy. It's a nice different spot of difference, I guess. And I have not forgotten about it. I was talking a while ago about wanting to do some sort of a flexibility stretching focus class. I've not forgotten about that. I still feel like I need to do a little bit more studying before I can teach that in a way that's a little bit more easily accessible to people than, my training's in dance. So that's sort of where my head goes when thinking about flexibility training and stretching and stuff like that. And, the type of class or workout that I would do as a dancer of the last 30 years is probably very different than what I would want to teach on the channel. So I'm still thinking about that, and I think that'll be a really nice addition as well. I think we've got the market cornered for class on high intensity interval training, and we've got our fun, weight training, strength training class on Fridays where we get to play around with whatever random stuff we have in the house. And I think that a chiller, more focused on stretching class is exactly what the schedule needs. So it is still in development, but I haven't forgotten about it, and I think that it will be a really good addition when I get there. But yeah, it's been a good week. It's just been a busy week. I feel like I've talked about this basically every day, but it's so true. Just the process of the world sort of boom, now everything seems to be reopened is really exhausting. Suddenly my social life is so different from what it has been for the last year. And, we're getting this opportunity that I know I haven't really had in decades to really realize how much energy that takes, how much energy being around other human beings takes. And, that's been intense. Hello, my dear. Thank you for resubscribing. Woo! Merriman Lion subscribed for 4 months on a 4-month streak. See, to be a real Twitch streamer, I have to start really melodramatically reading the subscribe notifications, which is easy to do right now because I've got not too many of them, which is great. Oh my God, it's so exhausting. And, I think too, strangely enough, I do think that I'm doing a pretty good job of sort of recognizing that and carving out time that is just for me, but it's still intense, and it's still really hard. And like, I have these trips that I want to plan, and like very, very important visits that I want to plan. I'm just like, okay, I have to make sure that I have enough time on either side to like recuperate. Oh my goodness, and the Mad Punter subscribed for 4 months, also on a 4-month streak. Isn't that cool? Oh my God, we've been Twitch affiliate for 4 months? That's wild. Oh my God, Amanda. Yeah, I am but a simple introvert. Let me tell you, working as a barista during the pandemic, like, you definitely start to understand the American stereotype of bartenders, because it's like, yeah, people would come in, and like, I didn't mind this so much because it was such a hard time, and like, people were going through stuff, but like, people would come in, and you would have the people who were just like, clearly like, oh my God, another human being to talk to, let me stand here for 30 minutes and talk to this captive audience. And then you would have the people who would come in and were clearly just like devastated about something and had no one to talk about it with, because again, they couldn't be around anyone. And it's like, well, friendly local barista has suddenly become the person being like, hey, are you doing okay? And then getting the like, I've had 5 people die of COVID in the last several months, or my best friend just committed suicide, or like all this stuff. And it was like, oh, usually this is not what I it's just coffee. Like, usually people who want coffee are very quiet because they're tired. But yeah, so now I feel like that's going back to a lot of folks who didn't have that close contact with people. And I'm just like, I feel for you. Oh my goodness. Tell them all to go get coffee instead. But yeah, I'm going to keep talking about it, because you know what? I'm going to keep noticing it for myself. And, when I notice things for myself, generally there's a good chance that others are A, probably experiencing the same thing, and B, maybe feeling like they can't express it or can't look directly at it. And we're gonna do our best over here to look directly at things and to help support and sustain each other. So if you too are experiencing a lot of like wildly all over the place emotions. I saw a comic today, and I promise we'll start class very soon. But there's a comic, I think it's called The Awkward Yeti. It's like the heart and the brain are the 2 main characters, and I saw one today that was just like so freaking perfect. Where it was like the heart, and the heart's like going along carrying this giant boulder on its back labeled past trauma, and then in the next panel you see that there are even more like boulders on top. There's like pandemic, and there's bad news, and there's like anxiety, and is still like trucking along with all this stuff. And then you see it approaching just this tiny like step up that says minor inconvenience. And the last panel is the heart just like sobbing on the ground, while the brain is like, well, I really think you're overreacting. And I was like, oh my God. But that's what it feels like, and we do it to ourselves. We're like, oh God, why are you overreacting about this minor thing? But that's not the thing that you're reacting to, right? You're reacting to a year of people dying all around you and not being able to hug others, and all of the other stresses that come with living, like losing jobs and breakups and family members dying, and like you're dealing with all of that stuff, or trying to, and frequently what we do to try to deal with that stuff is just try to cart it along with us, and then we get down on ourselves when it seems like, you know, a minor inconvenience gets in the way, but that's never what it actually is. Like, it's not about the tiny stair that you tripped over. It's about a year's worth of trauma and hardship and tragedy and just everything. So we're gonna probably bring it up a lot because I'm sure that I'll be dealing with this for a while, and we are going to be kind to ourselves as best we can, recognizing that that can frequently feel like a tall order, but we're going to work on it anyway. But now we're going to get class started because I've been chattering a little bit. You can tell that I'm tired. But hey, it's Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. 2 advisories if you are new to class. I'll go through them kind of quickly today because we're running a little late. First one specific to this class. We're just using random stuff that you can find around the house, like laundry detergent and books, which means that we're not using gym-specific equipment that has the amount of the weight written nicely on the side and a nice ergonomic shape and all that stuff. So if you're just getting started with class, err on the side of caution in terms of the amount of weight of the objects that you use. Just for the first set or 2, you know, while you get a sense of how heavy things are and how easy or difficult they are to move through space, you may get to the end of that first set and go, you know, I think I can ramp it up with a little bit more. Or you may get to the end of that set and go, oh no, this was perfect. I actually might want to ramp it down a little bit. That's all fine. Just err on the side of caution. Don't feel like you have to keep changing up objects either. Once you have a suite of objects that you feel confident in, you can stick with those, absolutely. The other advisory is more general towards free weight training, particularly for arms. We are not symmetrical creatures. We have stronger sides and weaker sides, and when we are loading ourselves up for free weight exercises, generally that means that we have 2 weights, 1 in each hand, both of equal weight, and we are moving the arms independently, trying to maneuver those weights through space. So you always want to load based on the capacity of your weaker side, which sometimes feels counterintuitive to us because we're like, oh, but if I want to get it up to, you know, the strength of my stronger side, then I want to load it more heavily. But there's a difference between increasing load and overloading, and that's the tendency that we have. We go, oh, well, I wanted to catch up, so I'm just going to dump this heavy weight on it. And then the arm has to make unhealthy compensations to try and even move the weight, more prone to injuring yourself, losing control of it, wrenching something, dropping something. So always load based on the capacity of your weaker side. Your stronger side's not going to get weaker just because it's not lifting at its max, okay? And your weaker side will stay healthy and be able to strengthen up, okay? Because you're not injuring it. So those are the thoughts. Those are the dreams. Ooh, pre-class checklist. You've got your water in whatever vessel you are using. I can tell that I haven't drunk enough water yet because I'm already at least a quarter down, which is not ideal. You've got your comfy clothes, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, turn it on. If you use a fitness wearable, now's the time to turn it on. Not high intensity interval training today. Today's just traditional strength training because once we get through the warm up, we won't really have anything you hit like. Okay, before I just completely lose my ability to concentrate, let's get going, my friends. And make sure that you have stuff to work out with. I've got laundry detergent. I've got the first 2 entries in the Expanse series, and there may be an exercise where I whip out one of the textbooks. We'll see. But here we are. We may be tired. We may be worn out. We may be struggling to figure out how to interact socially with what seems like a million people. But we're here. We're gonna work out. It's gonna feel good. So everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as that horn goes off, we begin with hip rocks and bridges. Yeah, here we go. I didn't turn the AC on today, but I did think of it, and then I went, you know, for our weight class, it's probably not super necessary, because again, once we get through the warm up, everything's going to be pretty still overall, not a lot of impact on cardiovascular system. So we'll see if I come to regret this particular decision, but it's too late now. So that's just what we're gonna do. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's not been a bad week, just an incredibly busy one. In like all areas of my life. And that's the thing. It's like, just, you know, there's no part of my life right now that's kind of chill and just, you know, sitting back and relaxing. Like work is busy and class is busy, and I've got a lot of projects I'm working on, and I'm getting ready to sing some songs at the wedding of some friends of mine in a couple of weeks, which means I'm also getting ready to get on a plane for the first time since February 2020. Good grief. Yeah, it's the only I did fly in 2020. I flew once in January and I flew once in February. And that was, in fact, it. I literally just then had to take a moment and look at the timer to see if we had done both sides. Oh, yeah, you can definitely tell, you know, and I struggle with letting myself be tired and take rest, and I'm at least far more aware of it than I was when I was younger, and that is a good starting point. But oh gosh, it is it's a hell of a thing to try and balance, you know, the ambition and desire to do so many things and the knowledge that rest is important. And we talked about this, you know. We get sort of a microcosm of that in exercise, where people are so concerned about taking rest days, let alone rest weeks. And, you know, you end up with people just being far more likely to injure themselves, sometimes severely, because of our unwillingness to just step back and take a break. I've got a rest week coming up. Actually, not next week, but I think the week after. So I'll still be streaming, because I'm not going to always take rest weeks as pauses in streaming. I think I'll generally only do that after one of our month-long big programs. So I'll still be streaming that week. I just won't be doing class along with you. So I'll demonstrate an exercise, and then I'll just be here to talk about form and, you know, keep you entertained with my latest thoughts on pop culture and late stage capitalism and white supremacy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's not a rest from streaming, but it will be a rest from exercise, and that will be important, and that will help me to replenish my energy. Because, you know, the other thing that we don't really think about a ton is the fact that, you know, the energy stores that we dip into for exercise are the same energy stores that are going into our the rest of our lives. You know, our ability to get up, to cook, to do whatever intellectual work we need to do, read and send emails. You know, like, there's not a separate energy system that's only for when we're doing classes like these that doesn't touch on the energy that's used, you know, in our day-to-day lives. Like, it all ties together. There are multiple energy production systems, and they do turn on at different points. But, you know, it's still overall a cohesive system. And so, you know, if we're reducing our energy in by exercising a lot more, that also has an impact on our overall energy just for the rest of our lives. And yeah, so I am looking forward to just replenishing my energy overall, and getting to have fun and keep teaching, but to take a little bit of a break from the movement itself for a week. That's going to be very nice, I think. But not yet. I haven't reached that week yet. So very soon. But I'm glad I put it on my calendar. You know, that was one of the things we talked about at the end of April Powers, was that I really wanted to hunker down and say, no, we are absolutely going I'm going to start taking my own rest seriously, because I can't keep telling you all to take rest seriously and then not do it for myself, you know? So I am really, really working on demonstrating those behaviors and reminding myself, in the same way that I remind all of you, that yes, rest is important. Yes, even for you. No, it's not going to destroy your fitness to take rest. And yes, rest does need to be a deliberate part of your overall schedule of fitness. So, yeah, it can be hard work. It can be annoyingly hard work. We're gonna do it together, though. I believe in us. We can absolutely make this happen, my friends. And we will make this happen. All right. Hiya. It is definitely warm up here. I think sometimes I underestimate the energy that goes into just the warm up. And, you know, obviously we talk about how the warm up is a boot up sequence, so we're not here going for 100% energy output, but it's still energy being expended. It's still, you know, activating those systems, one of them being the cool down system that causes us to sweat so that we can cool down our internal temperatures. And yeah, it definitely is still getting impacted right now. Oh man. But it is nice to go into the section to open up our hips and our spines, because I definitely am feeling a little stiff in those areas. A lot of sitting and sort of hyper focusing on various tasks until you don't realize that you've been sitting down for the last however many hours. So it is definitely good to start moving around, start circling around, and just reminding ourselves that these parts of the body also need to move around. And that's going to be a lot healthier overall than just sitting in one spot or standing in one spot all day. Alrighty. Oh no, squats. I've gotten worryingly, I keep having these moments where I forget about squats. I keep thinking that we go directly from our torso rotations into Samson stretches, which we do not. We definitely do not, but you know, if I ever get off on an incorrect exercise up here, which has happened before, not in a while, but has happened before, remember that if you know the warm-up, then you don't need to follow along with what I'm doing just because I'm doing it, okay? You can absolutely be like, well, they're clearly kind of off right now. She's missed something, so I'm just gonna keep doing the correct exercise. And eventually I'll figure it out and I'll go, whoops, that seems unfortunate. And then we'll move on with class, because y'all are experts at this point. You're old hands. We've been doing this class for a good long while. And boy, it's just really, really nice to have this grounding event 4 days a week. All right. How is it in your home state? Is it every bit as warm as we're experiencing in the state of Colorado? Today is not as warm. You know, the last couple of days got up to low 90s. Today we're in the low 80s, so, you know, that's nice that it's not quite as stifling as it has been, but I find the distance between, you know, 80 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit is sometimes not hugely meaningful. But hopefully y'all are not being too overwhelmed with heat right now. I was reading something the other day about how heat waves are some of the most deadly, like, weather-based events, which makes sense to me. It's very stressful on the system, and when you have people who are less able to tolerate those temperatures, it can become deadly. But I should go back and try and find that article again, because I can't remember exactly where I was reading that. But anyway, we've talked about that a lot this week, as we seem to have rounded the corner into summer almost immediately. And suddenly been like, well, I guess heat is now something that we need to deal with in her workouts. Okay, let's do that, I guess. Yeah, here we are, and it's warm, and it's the end of the week, so you may be feeling kind of tired and kind of worn out, and that's okay. You know, again, we never want to pretend that we are not experiencing whatever we're experiencing, okay? I do not ascribe to the philosophy that we're supposed to, you know, leave whatever our emotions are at the door when we hit the mat for a workout. Because, you know, A, that just doesn't make sense at all, because we are not disparate components. We are a whole system. You know, our brains and our bodies work together, and what impacts one tends to impact the other. So we don't need to come in here and go, oh, well, I'm not supposed to let myself be impacted by whatever's been going on today. You absolutely can. And you are. So, you know, don't feel like you have to pretend otherwise. Take that experience and use it to guide your workout, okay? And sometimes that means that we're gonna push ourselves a little bit more intensely than we normally do, because we need to get that anxious or angry energy out. And sometimes that means that we just have to take a step back and say, you know what, I am going to, I'm just going to let myself sort of be present and do, but without worrying about pushing or going for PR or anything like that. All right? Oh, excuse me. Oh, man. Yeah. This is the way you can tell that I have not hydrated well yet today, because I am I think I am halfway through. I am halfway through my mason jar, and we only just did the warm-up, okay? And I was a quarter of the way through it before we even started the warm-up. So that's why I like to take that sip at the very beginning, just to key myself in. And, you know, you have that moment where you take that first sip and you're like, oh my God, I need to drink more water. And then you go, oh yeah, looking back over the course of the day, it's definitely very evident that I did not hydrate at all. And again, I try to be open about these things, because like, I give you a lot of recommendations and a lot of suggestions, and I want to be clear that I understand that it is not as simple as just teacher said a thing, so now, cool, I will do this thing, and if I don't manage to do this thing, then I have failed. No, it's not that. Even the teacher is not always taking care of herself in the way that they could be, okay? Your hair is out of control. Oh my goodness. We need to get you to a barber at some point. Yeah, I need to go back to mine to get a touch up on the undercut before I well, then stop complaining about it, or get a hair tie. Do a ponytail. Do a bun. That'll keep it out of your way. All right, my friends. Big sigh. Big sigh. We've warmed up. We're feeling a little sweaty. We are ready to go, yeah? Well, I'm ready to go. I've already blasted through so much water. So what are we gonna do today? I think today's gonna be, honestly, kind of an arms heavy day is what I am feeling. So let's see, what's that going to mean? Hiya. I haven't decided if we're going to do 4 or 5 exercises. I think we might do 5. But first one, we're going to do our upright rows. So I generally, for most exercises that in the gym I would do with 2 dumbbells, 1 in each hand. At home, because it's harder to find two objects of the same weight and shape, I will frequently modify those exercises to be able to use one heavier weight. So I'm using my top-handled laundry detergent bottle. I'm taking a nice stable stance. My feet are somewhere between hip and shoulder width apart, and I'm just going to lift the bottle up, close it so I don't get laundry detergent all over myself. So lift it up until my elbows are parallel with the floor and at about shoulder level, and then let it down and up and down, okay? So if I was doing this in a gym with dumbbells, I would have one dumbbell in each hand, palms facing towards the body, and I would lift them up like this. So you see how the modification works. It's not that different from what we would normally be doing. You can, however, use a heavier weight because you've got both hands manipulating the same object and working together. So in that instance, you can generally up the weight a little bit from what your capacity would be, you know, for your weaker side. But you still want to pay attention. You still want to make sure, because the weaker side is participating in the exercise, so you still, you know, if the weaker side generally can manage like 15 pounds, and whereas your stronger side usually goes for 20 pounds, you don't necessarily want to use 40 pounds for this, okay? All right, so we're starting with upright rows. Then we are going to do lateral raises. So for this, I am going to use two objects. Books, because I want them to be lighter. Generally, I wouldn't go any higher than 5 pounds for this, at least to start. So I'm using 2 books, same position, and I'm just lifting them up to the sides. Again, up to shoulder height, and then down, and up, and down. We use lighter books because, as we talk about frequently, the shoulders are a very unstable joint, and so we don't want to overload them, okay? So obviously you can increase weight as you get stronger, but I want you to always be aware, okay? And when in doubt, pitch the amount of weight lower for this exercise, okay? All right. Third exercise is going to be, you know what, it's going to be our weighted obliques. That's kind of what I'm feeling today. So we're going to take that heavy weight, we're going to balance on our tailbone, we're going to contract our obliques to twist our torso, bringing the weight to one side, and then other side. Remember, you're not lifting that weight back and forth, you are contracting and rotating your torso using the activation of your abdominals and obliques. And that is bringing the weight one side, then the other, okay? So we've got upright rows, we've got lateral raises, we've got weighted obliques, and then we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a heavier, sort of bigger textbook. So if I was in the gym, I would probably use a plate, you know, like a barbell plate for this. And I would probably have a second one that I would be standing on to keep my feet pretty close together. And I'm going to start holding this plate in front of my face, and then I'm going to rotate it around behind me and back to center, and then to the other side. So a few things to note. If this was a circle, I would basically be rolling it on its edge all the way around me, my head, okay? I'm not lifting it over my head at all. And you want to keep it pretty upright the whole time, and you're really, you're moving from the shoulders, okay? So you're not, I don't want to be moving my head out of the way. I want my head to stay stable and where it is, all right? So that's 4 exercises, and you know what? I think that's what we're going to stick with. So we've got upright rows, we've got lateral raises, we've got weighted obliques, and we've got the rolling wheel is what I'm going to call it, at least today. I don't think I'd really come up with a name for that before, so there you go. All right, so that is what we're doing today. Our usual timer structure, 2-minute timers. When it begins, you will do your specified number of reps. I'm going to say 20 to 35, okay, is the preferred range. So try to do at least 20 reps. And you do them all in a row. And then once you get to the end, you take the rest of the timer as rest. And then when you hear knock, 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 get in position and get ready to start the next set. So everybody on your mats, we're prepping. We're starting with upright rows as soon as I can hit the timer correctly. So get ready, get set, and go. And for exercises like this, where we really want the trunk to be nice and stable, okay? The only things moving are your arms right now. So I've engaged my core and I've engaged my glutes to really stabilize everything. And I am maintaining control over the weight with my arms. So even as I'm lowering it, I am still fully in control of the weight so that it's not going to drag me forward or sideways or anywhere, okay? And if my arms start to get a little tired, I still have the assistance of the stabilizing muscles to step in and be like, it's okay, we're not going anywhere, okay? So things to keep in mind as we go. Woo-wee! I do like upright rows. I like them a lot. My work slack has continued to do channel tags, you know, generally like 1 per day, although I think we had at least one day where there were a couple of them. But that's just been so nice to have just these little pops of movement, you know, that trigger, that reminder to be like, oh, yeah, I haven't moved in a while. Why don't I just go do a quick set of 10 push-ups, quick set of, you know, 20 bicycles or something like that. And it's really quite fun to get to do that and to, you know, to have that camaraderie, to know that the folks in my company are doing the same thing at the same time. It's one of the nice things about doing class here, you know. Even though we're not able to be in the same space with one another, we still know that wherever we are, we're here doing the same class and the same activities. And there's power in that, and there's community in that. And that is, I mean, that was the goal the whole time, particularly, you know, starting this class during a pandemic when everybody was like, well, I seem to have, in one fell swoop, just lost all of my community. What the heck do I do now? And, you know, we've gotten the opportunity to join together and to know that there are people all over the country who are taking class at the same time. And that's really nice, you know. There is the power of community in the internet. It has a lot of other less pleasant powers, but that one is one I very much appreciate. And keep drinking your water. Still important to hydrate, even if this is a less cardio intensive class. And if we've learned anything today, it's that you may also have not hydrated well today, like I did not hydrate well today, in which case it's probably good for you to check in and be like, okay, let's get some water. Let's make sure we're drinking water, because even if we're not working out, that is still a really critical component of taking care of ourselves. Remember, nice big exhales on the effort, as we like to say, and just reminding ourselves that that is a tool. I'm not always able to demonstrate that tool just because I'm talking the whole time, but it really is super useful. So think about it when you're getting yourself into an exercise, particularly ones that have, you know, a portion of really intense movement to get to sort of the top of the exercise. So for our upright rows, it would be, you know, exhaling as we lift the weight up to our shoulders, and then slow release, and then, you know. So just think about that. With any exercise that you do, think about, okay, where would I consider the effort to be in this exercise? And then try to time at least one nice healthy exhale for that point in the exercise, okay? Woo! All right. Now for our rolling wheel, right? That's what I called it, yeah? That is what I called it, I think. And this exercise, it becomes easier to make sure that you're not moving your head all over the place if you just make sure your eyes are pointed straight forward, okay? So I'm just looking straight ahead of me at the wall, and, window in my case. And because of that, I can be really confident that I'm keeping my head straight up. I'm keeping my neck in the same position the whole time, and I'm not moving anything around, because the goal is that using only my arms, I am circling this wheel all the way around my head, okay? So only my arms, you know, and you're gonna get a little bit of isolation in the chest as well, but the driving force is just the arm movement, okay? And everything else should be relatively stable. All right, that was our first time through all of the exercises. Yeah. Oh. So next we'll go back around. And remember, especially when we start round 2 and going forward, form is always important, no less so on the 4th time through as on the 1st time through. So every time that we start an exercise again, we want to check in. We want to see where our form is. We want to make sure, okay, this is my 2nd time doing the upright rows. Let's make sure my foot position is nice and stable. Let's make sure my core and my glutes are engaged. Let's make sure that my arms and shoulders are strong and are controlling the weight the whole time. And that's the big thing with a lot of these arm exercises. It's easy, in air quotes, to get the weight up to the top position. The really intense thing is lowering it back down without letting gravity just sort of grab it and take control, okay? Because we talk about this a lot. Gravity is not our friend when it comes to this. We do not want gravity to be assisting us. We want to be in control of the movement the whole time. So you need to make sure that when you're lowering back to the starting position, that you're not just going, oh, thank God, but you're actually actively, all those muscles are still engaged as you lower the weight, okay? And that can be the really intensive part of the exercise because, you know, similar to if you have hiked up to the summit of a mountain, we have this impression in our heads that coming back down the mountain is going to be easier, but it comes with its own challenges that in some ways can be even harder because gravity is trying to push you. You're not pushing against gravity in the same way anymore. Now, gravity's like, oh, well, you're going in the direction I'm trying to send you, so that should make this really easy. And so you have to actually put a lot more effort into making sure that you can maintain control over your movements. And it's the same thing with these exercises, okay? So, you know, and again, why don't we want gravity to assist? Well, because gravity assisting frequently turns into us injuring ourselves, you know? So for exercises like this, gravity assists, pull, you know, my arms get pulled down on by the weight and suddenly I've dislocated my shoulder, say, you know, and that is not what we want to have happen. Ugh. I really enjoy lateral raises because I find them to be such a deceptive exercise where they seem so simple and you're like, you're usually using pretty light weight. You're like, this is fine. And by the end, I'm like, oh no, I can really feel the impact of this. I can feel the fatigue in my arms, which, you know, ties into, there's so many different ways for us to sort of ramp up the challenge rating of our workouts. And you can adjust one segment up, you know, you can turn one dial up, but frequently you then need to turn another dial down. So, you know, with lateral raises, you're using lighter weight, so you probably want to increase the number of reps that you do overall. And you will definitely feel that work, okay? You will absolutely feel that work. And it will have a positive impact. And that's the thing. I think we get really stuck into a lot of the pop culture views that we have into exercise. And, you know, like the ridiculous training regimens that people go through when they're going to be a Marvel superhero, and you know, or The Rock, who just like, that's how he lives his life. And it can be really easy to forget that you don't have to be doing that to be getting the incredible benefits of exercise, okay? And many of us like probably shy away from that approach, and you know, but because it's the only image that we see out there, it can be like, all right, well, exercise just doesn't feel like it's for me because like I don't have that like barbarian vibe going on. It's like, that's only one way to move. That's only one type of activity to do. There are so many others, and believe me, they are effective, okay? So, just something I like to circle back to from time to time, because, yeah, I mean, the, the images that we have in front of us matter. You know, what we are seeing presented to us matters. And we do not see enough examples of people who are exercising, you know, simply because they enjoy moving their bodies and enjoy the health benefits that do come with exercise, you know? And I want us to have more of those folks in the space. And I definitely, you know, on my Instagram for Blanche Case Fitness, I definitely work to find, you know, really diverse voices in the fitness space. And I think it's just so important to amplify those voices, and to amplify the fact that there are so many other ways for us to exercise and move our bodies. And you know, if one way you try doesn't appeal to you, then try something else. There is something out there. There is something out there that you will enjoy, that you can stick with. And you don't have to find it right away, but keeping that curiosity, keeping that open mind, really helps. And the willingness to circle back to things too, and be like, all right, well, now that I know a little bit more, let me try this again. Let me see, maybe it'll feel easier. Maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit more this time around. Or maybe I'll try it again and go, no, still not for me. And that's fine too. All right. So, third time through, my friends. And again, doing that check on form, particularly as our muscles start to get fatigued, we will start to have a bit of a harder time controlling the weight as it goes down. And one of the things that I definitely can feel is the difference in control between my stronger side and my weaker side. So again, just because we have both hands on the same weight working together to move it does not mean that we don't still have to pay attention to the impact of the amount of weight on both sides, right? So it's still relevant information, and you know, it's still the kind of thing where maybe I don't have to ramp down the amount of weight, but maybe I have to ramp down the amount of reps that I'm doing, yeah? And that just might be what I have to do in order to make sure that I'm still doing the exercise safely and correctly. And we always, like, it comes back to that every time. I know it's frustrating. I know that we all have those days where we're like, but I just want to power through, But what I want is for you to be able to be doing this class, to be doing whatever activity you really enjoy when you're 80 years old. I want you to still be able to be doing that. And that means that we have to pay attention to form, and we have to make sure that we are just putting that up at the highest point of importance. Say before I ramp up in weight, before I ramp up in reps, before I do anything else, I need to make sure that I can maintain the form of the exercise for the entire time. And if I can't, then I am not ready to ramp up yet, or at least not in that way, okay? And we just really, like, it can feel really frustrating, particularly when it does feel like it's taking a while for a particular exercise to really settle into our brains and for us to feel comfortable with it, or when we hit those plateau points where we're like, I just feel like nothing is changing. And like, first of all, things are always changing. It's just not always on a visible to the conscious eye level. But B, we're not in a race. We don't need to jump to the top of that mountain right off the bat, okay? We are here to create a healthy habit for ourselves and to use exercise as a tool in our toolbox. And it's a great tool. It's an incredible tool, and I'm so grateful to have it. But as with all tools, there are safety standards. You know, if I'm using a hammer, there are safety precautions that I take to make sure that I'm not going to slam it into my fingers, or slam it through the wall, or throw it backwards into my head, you know? And it's the same thing with exercise. It is a tool in our toolbox, yes. It is a great tool in our toolbox. And also, we need to make sure that we are handling it safely and with care so that we don't injure ourselves. All right? So, excuse me, yeah. We're having a very honest day here at Blanche Case Fitness. Oh man, that's all right. That's all right. We are all about being as open and honest with ourselves, with each other as we can be. Okay. Oh man, I love this class. It can be deceptive. Sometimes even I go into it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fine. I get to the end and I'm like, oh no, I'm definitely feeling the effort. And that's always a good reminder. It is always a good reminder that there is always more to discover, and there are always more ways to grow, no matter how long you've been doing this. No matter if you think that you know everything at this point. I guarantee you don't. I certainly don't. There's so much more that I could discover. That's just, I find that very cool. I find that very, very cool to know that there are still plenty of things that I can experiment with, that I can try out, and that I can learn. So, yeah, you're gonna have to watch this space, because at some point soon, I am going to start doing boxing again. Not on the channel. I'm not going to teach it. I am not that far. But taking boxing again, and I am super excited about that. It's still going to be a couple weeks, I think. Yeah, I am really excited to add that back into my weekly schedule. And who knows, you may start to see some boxing inspired stuff here in class. Who knows? Not even I know. Not even I know. But yeah, even just shadow boxing is so intense. I had forgotten how wonderfully cardio heavy boxing is. It's just a powerhouse of a strength and cardio exercise, and I love it. All right, my friends, we have just got one set left, a amazing. It always, I feel like it always takes me by surprise when I'm like, oh, really? We're almost to the end. We've only got the one set left, but apparently so. Apparently we've only got the one set left. I'm also pleased to report that my elbow that got super sore after archery on Sunday is finally not sore anymore. Oh my gosh, that was intense. That was intense. And again, a really good reminder that even in a class that's fairly varied, you know, we do a lot of different activity types in these classes, but even so, I do not hit on every single muscle in every single possible way. And so it is still very possible to try out a different exercise and to be like, well now, that hurt. Yeah. In a good way, in a positive way, but that had an impact. That hit some muscles that I am clearly not used to moving in that particular way. Archery is a fascinating experience. I would like to do more of it. It's one of those things that it's hard to find like a good place nearby to do it. I do have a backyard. It's not a huge backyard, so like, I don't know that doing archery in the backyard would be the best thing, but in the coming week, you're gonna need this weight training. Ooh, I'm intrigued, but also just glad that you're here to take class. Oh my goodness. Have to pack up about a third of the books in the children's room so the carpeting folks can get in. Oh, yeah, woof. Woof. Well, I'm glad that you're here and that you're doing weight training. One of the things I'll remind you of, I sort of was reminded of this. I was watching a YouTube video, and it was a Rachel Maxey video, and she's a delight. If you enjoy like costume YouTube or historical dress recreation YouTube, she's a great person to follow. But she was talking about her back issues, because I guess when she was in her really early 20s, she worked at Petco in like the grooming area department, I guess. And you know, she was like, everyone always tells you to, you know, lift with your legs, but you try, you know, lifting a golden retriever who doesn't want to get his nails clipped using just your legs. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know, lift from your legs it's not bad advice, but it's only the beginning of the puzzle, you know? You want to lift not only with your legs, but you want to make sure that your core is engaged to stabilize your trunk and particularly your back. Like, the issues that we get with our backs with bad lifting is not necessarily because you're not lifting with your legs, but if I'm leaning over and trying to lift like this, I'm not getting the power from the legs, and my legs are a powerhouse. My legs are going to be hands down the strongest part of my body. I don't care who you are. So, you know, you're not getting the benefit of that powerhouse to help move the weight, but also you're probably not remembering to activate your core in that instance. So all of the stress is on your back muscles, and that is, you know, not good. So, you know, lift from your legs, yes, but make sure that your core is fully engaged as well. We talk all the time about how important the core is as a stabilizing muscle group. And here's a really good real world application of that info, right? Because, golly, yeah, you want to have that core engaged. That's stabilizing the back so that, again, the heavy weight isn't dragging you over anywhere, and you can lift that up. And the power of my legs combined with the stability generated with an activated core helps me to lift the weight and keep it stable. And again, that core helps to keep it stable as I'm moving with it. So again, you know, I could stand up just fine, but then as I'm walking along and I start to, you know, relax that engagement, and suddenly the weight gets to take over more, and gravity gets to jump in there, and whoop, there we go again, right? So, yes, I'm excited that you're here, since that is going to be a really obvious real-world practical application of class. So, just, yeah, core activation. Core activation. I will sing its praises until the cows come home, because it is so, so important. And oh man, we don't do a good job in teaching people safety protocols when they're moving things, when they're picking things up, when they are moving their bodies through space. And, you know, I'm not necessarily going to go down that particular soapbox road today, but, I mean, y'all, anyone who's been with me long enough knows my frustration at the way that we teach physical education in schools. And, you know, it ties into so much. So many places where we just don't teach people that it is okay and in fact necessary to value your safety just as much as your ability to do whatever the movement is that's being asked of you. Oh man, all the picture books and the bottom two shelves of everything else. Picture books can be heavy. Wow. Yes, make sure you have your water bottle and make sure that core is activated in addition to the legs. Yeah. Make sure to take some breaks and just like flex and feel really badass, because you know that always helps me to feel inspired, right? All right. Mm-hmm. Hey, there we go. Well done, my friends. Oh, good. You can wear comfy clothes to do it. That's also important. That's very important. Oh, good job, everybody. Good job. We don't do a ton of stretching, and we're not going to do a ton of stretching today, but let's swing the arms out, just back and forward, just a little bit. And I can feel a little bit of tightness behind my shoulders. So I definitely am going to enjoy this next stretch. We'll take the arm up to the side, then across the body, grab it just above the elbow, pull that upper arm into the chest as close as you can, getting that nice stretch in the shoulder, maybe a little bit into the tricep. Taking those nice breaths while you're doing it. And then release. Let the arms go back and forth a little bit more. And then other side, same thing. It's not an intensive stretch, but it is a nice stretch to get. It's interesting, you know. Stretching the arms is a a much more difficult prospect. Like I can think of so many different stretches that work the legs. There are very few of them that are sort of that static stretch approach that I can think of for the arms. If you have any recommendations, let me know, because clearly I could stand up my repertoire. Let's just take a second, you know, because this is a nice thing to do. Let's just massage along the side of the elbow. So if I have my elbow facing out, the sort of crook of my elbow facing out, then let the arm sort of turn a little bit more naturally and grab and sort of pinch that side, all right? And just massage in there, sort of dig your thumb in there, maybe take your whole hand and just pinch and sort of grip and then release and grip and then release. And just get, you know, go down along the forearm a little bit. Just get that nice massage in there. And then let's do that on the other side. Again, always good to even ourselves out, okay? And you may feel very different sensations. It may feel more intense on this side. You may not be feeling much of anything on this side, but just to even yourself out and to get used to just being able to sort of massage out really intense points in your muscles. Another great place to massage yourself, if I'm standing, well, you don't have to be standing. Forget that part. So my scalenes, big corded muscles going down the sides of my neck. So if I come here to this little nub on my collarbone and I go straight up and slightly to the side, I'm going to be able to pinch this big cord of muscle, okay? And you want to just sort of pinch and relax and move along the muscle, up and down, and just give it that nice massage. And then other side, because, you know, these muscles are another, you know, strength powerhouse. It's just easier to forget because the thing that they are maintaining is our head or skull, you know? But they don't generally participate in, say, lifting and moving heavy objects in the same way. So it's easy to forget that, oh my God, they are doing a lot of work every day in the same way that our legs are, because they have to carry us around like this. So are our necks. So and this is a really nice massage to do. Just relax that out a little bit, because this is always going to be, these are always going to be muscles that are working really hard. And they don't get nearly the amount of love that a lot of the other muscle groups get. Yeah? Oh, and finally, last but not least, let's take our hands, clasp them behind our backs, fingers interlaced, and then we'll just fold over at the hips, and we'll bring the arms with us so they've come all the way over. And now gravity, it's the one time that gravity gets to take control. Gravity is just pulling down on them, intensifying that stretch in the shoulders, and I'm also getting a little bit of a hamstring stretch because of this bend, this fold over from the hips. So 2 stretches in one, and the hamstring stretch is intensified because I don't have my hands on the ground, so I'm not able to support myself that way. Now just bend the knees, roll back up, and release. All right. Good job, everybody. Woo. Good job. Happy Friday. That was a great class. That was a great class. I feel like I make this realization every time we do this class, but I'm really pleased at having this as our Friday evening class. And I did it deliberately, and I'm just going to go ahead and pat myself on the back because that was smart, because it achieves exactly what I want it to achieve. You know, we get to the end of the week, and frequently we are very tired, you know. We've gone through a lot. We've had to do a lot of work, maybe physical, maybe mental, for most of us intense either way. And getting to this point in the week and being able to, you know, focus in on an activity that is intensive but not overwhelming on our system. You know, cardio exercises can feel really overwhelming, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. But sometimes when you're already worn down, when you're already tired, it's going to be more useful to do an activity that you can really focus your attention on, and really focus on. I don't have to think about jumping around. I don't have to worry about that Tabata timer. All I have to focus on is lifting this weight up and lowering it back down. And I know that I find that so helpful at the end of a long week when I'm already feeling kind of tired. It's a great pop of exercise that doesn't continue to tax the systems I've already taxed over the course of the week, right? And I'm glad that you feel that way too. And just, you know, I have placed all of the classes very deliberately through the week, and you know what, a year on, I still feel really good about the structure of classes and how they're laid out. So that's really exciting. And now I'm really excited to take a shower and relax for the rest of the evening, and I hope that you're able to do that too. And we have one more class left this week, and that's going to be Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So I hope you join me for that, because it's, you know, a wonderful way to start our weekends, and I very much enjoy that class. It's one of my favorites. But yeah, definitely join in for that class. Or just come lurk in the chat. Either way, you know that I love having y'all here, whether or not you're doing the activity. It's just fun just to hang out. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support a little more long-term. Either way, your support is always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, co-workers, anyone looking for an awesome fitness class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a wonderful community here, and the more the merrier. And now, especially if you, like me, haven't hydrated well today, refill that water and drink that, okay? Start replenishing those glycogen stores, get some food, take that celebratory post-workout shower, and I will see all of you back here again tomorrow morning. Mwah! Have a great night.